So our next session is about beauty's AI renaissance, how personalization, technology, and the future of brands all connect. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Jill Manoff, who is the editor-in-chief of Glossy. Let's give a round of applause for Jill. We also have Alana Drell-Zeifer, who is the former CEO of Revive. Alana, please come on. And Chris Payne, who's the CEO of Jane Iredale. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Hey, hey. Can y'all hear me okay? We're gonna jump in talking about beauty's AI renaissance. You guys know your stuff. I'm back there like cramming and you're just like, we got this, we know. But I wanna dig in. We're gonna be talking about the way that AI-driven personalization is, of course, shaping the industry, the future of the industry, customer discovery, and also just brands in general. So much to dig in here, a lot of potential in the beauty space. Alana, I want to hear from you as somebody, a well-known leader in beauty. I would just say how you see AI changing, AI-driven personalization specifically, changing how brands are engaging with consumers. Let's start there.
Sure. I mean, I think it's twofold, right? How brands are engaging with consumers, how consumers are engaging with brands. Both. I think with AI, there's a higher expectation, sort of the experience that a brand needs to deliver to a consumer. And so I think people are using AI in everything from making try on easier, to projecting what you might look like in the future easier, to developing creative more quickly or more personalized emails, text, etc. I mean, I think AI is being used in a multitude of ways.
Yes. Is there anything specific to the prestige space? I'm sure this space was maybe slower to embrace AI-driven personalization, but maybe not. You tell me.
I think to some extent, a differentiator from a prestige perspective needs to be personalization and service. I mean, you sort of need to justify price, if you will, to some extent, and elevate service for your customer. And so, I think that is really how. Certainly, those were some of the ways that we tried to utilize AI when I was at Revive.
Yeah.
With Perfect Corp.
Yes, amazing. Look at that. Well, Chris, way over here, I can barely see you.
Oh yeah, here they are.
Oh, look.
Okay, should I tell you what this is?
Let's walk us through it.
All
what do you
right.
have?
So, sometimes creativity comes out of desperation, like in having small budgets, but big dreams. So we saw that Perfect Corp did a partnership actually with a dermatologist, plastic surgeon. Okay. And that they utilized that technology in office to kind of show if this was your face and you had a facelift, like what you would look like afterwards, or an eye lift or whatever. And so my team said, okay, well, what if we took our clinical results for anything, a face cream, an eye cream, a lip product, etc., and we took a face, and instead of spending the money on a before and after photograph, we invested what we were already investing in clinicals, which we did to be able to prove out product claims. And we used AI to show the after of using the product after 4 weeks, given what we were already testing. So these are some examples that you see of how we work together with the Perfect Corp team to show the after, and then we included it on our P pages, on our website, et cetera, and then we started doing it in paid media as well.
Yes, I was going to say, I know the power of before and after on social media. Did this kind of take off on Instagram and TikTok?
Yes.
Yes,
exactly.
No doubt. Well, Chris, from your perspective of Jane Iredale as a pioneer in skincare makeup, from looking at your customers and how they're discovering product or shopping the brand and even just their loyalty, like how is AI playing into all of that right now?
Well, it's a big part of our digital platform Jane has, obviously as a pioneer in skincare makeup, we have a very loyal, very engaged, highly retentive audience. But with AI, we've also been able to really, I think, expand that audience with new customers. We use virtual try-on for a lot of our different color products across the site. And our new customers coming to the site who are using AI and using virtual try-on, and of course we use Perfect Corp, we're seeing incredible levels of engagement, time on site, et cetera. Our conversion rate for new customers versus new customers who do not use virtual try-on, it's over double, of what the standard conversion rate for us has been. The time on site, though, which is probably one of the most impressive, it's a 150% increase in time on site. And we think that that's one leading, to the higher conversion rate, but it's also leading to 10% average order basket. And those new customers, they're trying on average 15 shades, a session.
Oh my gosh.
So now this is new customer behavior, and we're very happy to get those new customers who are behaving in that way. But even with existing clientele, now we have incredibly loyal, arguably some of the highest numbers in terms of retention that I've seen in the industry. But even our loyal existing customers, their time on site and their conversion rate, our time on site has increased by 20% in terms of, and we already have a very, very loyal and engaged consumer. So the AI that's powering our virtual try-on has been really impactful to our digital business, but not even just the site, even on our SMS campaigns, leveraging AI to be a better service provider, if you will, in terms of the communication with people. We see a 9% lift in sales from those who are using our SMS platform, which again, 9%, I think in today's world, 9% is not bad, but we don't have to do a lot for that 9%. So it's an incredibly efficient way, very easy lift to add sales.
Love all this sexy data. Yes, keep it coming. Do you any fun, anecdotal data in terms of what you're hearing from your customer that's trying on 15 shades? Are they looking for, I like a nude lip, I'm gonna try on all the nudes, or is it kind of expanding their horizons to maybe like a red, like something they haven't tried before?
Yeah, we've actually seen, an expansion in shade usage. Or purchasing. We do have our own in-house, we call them beauty advisors, our own in-house customer service. And we find, this is somewhat anecdotal, but we have I would say some of the best customer service, at least I've seen out of the beauty industry. Our beauty advisors are able to use the virtual try-on tool to augment their service. So, we don't always have the most technically savvy customers out there. I think I'd probably put myself in that same boat. There sometimes can be a little bit of intimidation. When you live it and use it every day, it's sort of second nature. Virtual try-on, I think we all have to remember, is maybe 0.01% of most people's life.
Yes.
So it's not commonplace. It's not muscle memory quite yet. So the idea of where to hold the phone and how to do it, it's not natural for everybody.
Right.
So we still get a lot of inbound, requests on shades, on products, on formulas, what product goes with what. So we're not turning away from an in-person customer service, or a real live body customer service.
Yeah.
But the virtual try-on augments that service level and helps provide even better service.
That makes great sense. Go
I
ahead.
think just to build on what Chris is saying, the question is really, how are you using it? How are you using AI, and are you using it to enable, right, or to eliminate to some extent? Yeah. And I think when you use it as a way to enable, it can really enhance the full experience. So another thing that we did at Revive with a company called Eve Labs was it was kind of the kind of thing you've seen in your past, where you put your head into a machine and you can tell your sun damage or this or that, but it was very advanced, right? It was very advanced. You could turn your head 3D, you could move ahead and see what sun damage looked like in the future, in the past, etc. And one of the areas that we chose not to use was product recommendations coming out of the tool, but instead to use it only as a diagnostic, but to rely on the expertise of our own beauty advisors to make the recommendation, because we felt that the recommendation needed to happen from a personal level, especially at point of sale, where there was that real relationship. but we use the technology just to deepen, the diagnostic, et cetera. So I think they can be used together really to enhance service, to Chris's point.
Yes, Reads is more authentic when it's coming from an IRL human person. Let's talk about, in terms of for an established beauty brand, prestige or not, but when it comes to integrating AI personalization into your strategies. I want to talk opportunities and challenges. In terms of opportunities that you see kind of in general, what would you say, Ilana?
I mean, I think the opportunities are kind of endless. I think you have to look at your organization back end and front end and kind of say, what am I not doing that I'd like to do that I don't have a budget for, and or I don't have a team for, or whatever, and is there a way that AI can help enable me? So that's anything from personalization from an email perspective, customer service. Plenty of people are using AI platforms for project management. But also sort of like enhancing creative, being tighter on how you think about photo shoots by doing more prep work in the beginning, by generating visuals so that, when you brief an agency, a photographer, et cetera, it goes faster. I mean, I think there are a number of different ways, but I think you have to be very sort of focused on where do you need help first, right? And then lean in there.
Yes, and in terms of the challenges, does it have to do with kind of, again, established business, like maybe convincing others about the opportunity? Like, you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a unique perspective. Probably Chris and I have a unique perspective because we are coming most recently out of small companies where we got the opportunity to move quickly, and people, there was. We can take risks, we can fail quickly, move on, et cetera. I just think there's an education that's needed from an AI perspective in larger companies, and the challenge becomes implementation across a large enterprise, right? Where Chris and I are we're fast and nimble.
We both came from bigger and then went smaller.
Yes, the same bigger.
Yes, that makes good sense. Well, Chris, I have to ask from, we're looking at consumers a lot in this discussion, but looking internally about opportunities, inside the company, like we're talking about big or small, but the largest opportunities that you see for the business, whether that has to do with the way your approach to marketing or product innovation or supply chain. I'm sure it could apply to all, but you tell me what you're most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say we are an AI first company, just to be clear. We definitely leverage AI throughout the organization. I think back to when I first came out of college, I worked at a department store as a merchandise planner. We didn't really have AI back then. You did your auto replenishment and your your in-stocks for your basics was all done. There was some machines behind it, but you had to build your replenishment models, and you got graded on it to a certain degree. We implemented when I started at Jane 6 years ago, we didn't really have an ops department. We had one contract manufacturer, literally one. So we did weekly orders, and they just made stuff for us weekly. It was easy, but it was not the most profitable way to run the business. We had to put in a demand plan, supply planning software from scratch. Fortunately, AI allows that to get up and running a lot faster than it would have 10, 20, 30 years ago, where that just wouldn't have existed. But I think most importantly for us, that's probably the most important, but marketing and media planning, in particular performance marketing, it's just a completely different landscape than what it was. You used to just make a single page, a spread, maybe a gatefold or something more exotic, some TV, and you would do your media plan and hope it worked. Today, we're able to not only optimize media, but also optimize creative in a way that just simply didn't exist, in the past. This is our most recent launch last May, June, a new liquid foundation, by far the biggest launch in company history. We had a ton of great creative, a ton of great assets, still, print. We had ingredient stories, we had clinical stories, we had shade range stories, et cetera. So we were able to deploy significantly more creative than we ever would have been able to, and let the the predictive technology and modeling help us really deploy the best assets and the best content. It just simply was not possible in the past. So not only does this help us have a great launch, it helps our media become more efficient. It helps us spend in a better way, and then ultimately in a bigger way, because we're getting positive, and incremental returns on that. And even beyond creative, we're able to use, AI in ways to minimize inefficient bidding, by running discrete tests, et cetera, that are helping to, determine really what is an incremental, dollar spent versus not. So AI has obviously influences across the whole organization, but I think to build on what Elon was saying, it's not about replacing necessarily, it's about augmenting and improving efficiency across the board.
Yeah, I mean, Chris and I were having a conversation about one of our wholesale partners in common, and when you have that much more creative, which also has an educational element, the downstream effect is also there's more education for people in stores to see, right? So, that they are able to kind of give a better experience to the consumer, whether or not there's, virtual try-on, right?
Yeah.
And so it just has a lot of multiple effects overall on the business in a very positive way.
It makes really good sense. P.S. Chris, I thought you said we are an AI-first company. I'm like, I haven't heard that before.
No, we are not.
I know. It's coming. Somebody will say this soon. It's new. That's interesting. Let's look ahead. Let's look at the future. I want to ask you, Alana, if you look at 5-10 years down the road and knowing how, again, the evolution of brands engaging with consumers, where would you say this is all going? We're more enabled, you're more empowered to do more, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is an industry of innovation, creativity, and excitement. So, I mean, I think that's where we're going. Even if you looked at the videos that were shown in the beginning where, you take a still photo and suddenly, like, it's moving. If you think about one of the categories Perfect Corp said was sort of resonating the most, hair. And, I don't know, take the Dyson or whatever. If suddenly you can see what the curl really looks like, what it looks like in the back, when you're turning your head around. I mean, I think there's I think we haven't even kind of scratched the surface on what the heightened experience is going to be that will become a customer expectation. And I think it's going to deepen this is a category where every single day more and more people are engaged at a younger age, at an older age, right? Yeah. And so I just think that's really what we're going to see. Specifically from a skincare and longevity perspective, I think there's going to be a lot more that becomes predictive, and I think what becomes visually predictive will then have an effect on product development. And once people can kind of see like what they may or may not want to see, they may then be able to innovate on the other side and say, let's make something fast. So that does not happen, right? So I think both of those things will have an effect.
Exciting. Yes. And Chris, your perspective as a CEO, in terms of leading your company and seeing the opportunities with AI-driven personalization, that's one thing. But in terms of kind of building long-term loyalty and kind of long-term customer commitment, what do you see as kind of helping to set the foundation for the future of your company?
Well, I think for us, AI is a tool. It's one of many tools in a toolkit. So for us, it helps people do their job better, helps to do it faster, helps to do it more efficiently. We see that across the board, whether it be through, again, supply planning, demand planning, performance marketing. We also can see it, though, in terms of service. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but we're a beauty company. We are a physical touch, company. We try to make people's lives better every day, and we believe AI has a role in doing that. We don't happen to subscribe that AI is going to replace certain people. It's going to help people do their job better. I think for us to use AI even more so in terms of building on that mission, how can we take it to, it's continuing that level of service and a tool that helps people. So can we be better with the timing? Can we be better with just even nuances to messaging and to creative? Can we be even better in terms of understanding the level below, what the surface is? I think as a counterpoint, just an ad hoc anecdote personally, I ordered something a couple weeks ago from a store, a couple different things, knowing I was going to return one of them. AI, their customer service, I realize now, is 100% AI. And it ends up creating, if it's not used in the right way, it becomes a very negative experience. And I think we can probably all relate to this in the audience. They saved money. And honestly, I doubt I'm going to buy from this shop again. It was a one-off.
Yeah.
But the experience was so bad. Like I was trying to add to an order, and you get this chirpy, kind of response. Great, thank you so much. We're happy that you're happy with your order. I'm like, no, that's not. It's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. And I would bet anybody in this audience has had a very similar experience. You saved money with AI. You ruined the customer experience at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think there just has to be a little bit of a leash on this, where AI is a tool. AI can make your business more profitable. It can help it grow. It can help it be, a more efficient business. But you can't lose sight of the end goal. It's not to replace everybody.
Yes.
At least that's not how it is for us. We pride ourselves on, our retention. We have near 100% retention on like a 18-month period on our site.
Oh, wow.
The last thing we want to do is save some money to ruin that experience.
Yep.
And so for us, it's continuing AI to be an augment to what we do and not a replacement for what we do.
Yes, it makes sense. I like what Alana was saying about it. It's kind of a step in the customer service process, and then we'll talk to somebody once we know where we're going. Gosh, we're running out of time, but I want to ask kind of in a sharp, concise way what you guys see as kind of what you're most excited about in terms of the opportunity for AI incorporated into, how did we word it? Will play into beauty's future. Like, you see so much opportunity here, you're ready for it. Maybe it's coming a little slower than you would like.
I mean, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I think the idea of how you can utilize AI from a product development perspective,
Yes.
right? I mean, we've talked a lot about the customer experience on the front end, but I think sort of having the ability to create something via AI first and test and then build on it from there, that's what I'm, kind of interested in. I mean, if you think about feeding in the types of prompts of what you want to see or what you want the results to be, and then how you might formulate to create something like that, that for me would be an interesting kind of next step, if you will, for AI.
And it'll just speed up everything, faster speed to market, faster innovation.
Yeah, and different, more performing, type of product of some kind of hybrid that, maybe we haven't thought of before.
Yes, yay. What are you excited for, Chris?
Well, I think that for I'm being very narrow now to our business and to kind of a short term, but I would love to see, and we're continuing to work on ways to enhance the augmented reality experience in terms of virtual try-on. So one thing that we've just noticed is that it's great that we get 15 shades tried on per session, et cetera. I feel our customer is beauty obsessed. She's not necessarily on the cutting edge of aesthetics, nor do we. It's neither here nor there. But I would love for better technology of application and technique and achieving the look. I think that there's great technology to show what the look is when it's on. I think that there's a big gap between confidence level of somebody using all, say, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 products to achieve that look. And while there is some technology to show application, I don't think it's quite to the level where someone at home in the middle of wherever can feel confident doing that.
Yes, that would be nice. Yes.
Yeah, one other, I think, just from a luxury perspective is deepening from a customer experience perspective the personalization in service. So if you understood more of what that individual customer's purchase history or sort of customer service history was across categories, right, as part of information, gathering, et cetera. If you could then, as a company or as a brand, personalize your one-on-one with them based on what you understood from a predictive behavior point of view, was what they respond to based on the experiences they've already had and responded to. I think that would help to deepen the customer experience and elevate the customer experience.
Oh, and I would add one other thing too,
Yeah,
based
go
on
ahead.
what I'm saying. It'd be great to be able to take the looks and see them in more settings. So, you take a lip color, maybe with a cheek color, but I'm right now using it primarily on whatever I'm wearing right now in the setting I'm in right now. But what if I'm doing this to go to an event? What if I'm doing this to wear with a special outfit? What if I'm doing this in daytime versus nighttime versus low light? Being able to see, makeup is situational. And so being able to see it used in different settings, formats, overall looks with hair, that's what you're really doing at the end of the day. So we still have a ways to go to make it really helpful.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting. I remember coming today and going, I'm going to be on stage under a light. Am I going to look washed out? A little bit. But anyway, you guys, Chris, Alana, thanks so much. Let's give them a hand.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Thanks.